turns out this van is a bit of a death trap. It has been for the last year, and I had no idea. Basically, let me just show you. This box down here contains an item which could have set fire to the van at any moment, and I've been sleeping in here completely oblivious. Basically, it's like a power brick that I bought from Amazon ages ago. You plug it into the mains in the back, and then it's got loads of USB ports. And I've just had an email saying it is dangerous and it needs to be recalled.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers, mate.
See you later.
I used every to post that, so there is every chance it is not going to make it back to Amazon. So as you are already aware due to the title of this video, I have just been to court yesterday, in fact. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go pick up some dinner and head down to the coast for a nice, quiet little camp. And then I can discuss with you what happened in the court case, the results of the case, and what it means moving forward. According to the sat-nav, the weather conditions are too bad to give me direction as to where I want to go. So I don't know if that means it's flooded, but I have another plan because I'm starving hungry. I might just pull over here to cook my dinner, and then we can go and check out this possible flooding later on. Oh no, would you believe it? We appear to be in the bog. That is not good. Although on the plus side, the sun has not set yet and we have a beautiful view. Look at the state of the tyres. I've only come into this little bit. For dinner, we have... There's all sorts going on here. Where is it? Oh, here we go. We've got chunky chips and we've also got our best ever burger. That is also going to be topped with roasted red chili mild cheddar and some peri peri mayonnaise. And how could I forget, I don't know what this is exactly, Japanese style milk buns. Sounds a little bit suspicious if you ask me, but we'll give it a go. So you might be familiar with this, the world's best air fryer, might I add. I know I have another air fryer down there, but this one, you just can't beat it, especially for burgers. But you might not be familiar with this. This is my new beast of a power station. It is the All Powers R2500. I'll tell you a little bit more about it when the food is cooking, but for now, let's just get this plugged in one of the 4 different AC outlets that it's got all along the bottom here. I believe we just hit that button there. This should then come alive. The reason why this one's so good for me is because of that cast iron grill thing that's in there. What the hell? I've got visitors. Get off my land. Do you know what, actually? I'm not going to do the chips for now. I can have them later if I get hungry. But I may or may not have had a massive flapjack on the way here, so I don't need to eat too much, to be honest. That's the preheating done, so now we can just whack the burger onto the grill and leave this meaty puck from the heavens in peace. So the reason that power station is called the R2500 is because it can power appliances up to 2,500 watts. It has just over 2,000 watt hours of capacity. You can charge it up from AC, so just the plugs in your house, and that will charge it from 0 to 100% in just 1.3 hours. But you can put 1,000 watt of solar panels into that thing, and you can also charge it through your 12 volt cigarette lighter inside your vehicle. You've got 12 volt DC, there's 2 USB-C high powered sockets there, and then underneath that you've got 4 standard USB sockets as well. Hang on, I forgot about this beast. Of course she's coming along. Right, come on, turn over. You know you want to. There we go. That's it, back in the middle. Good girl. That's what I love about this thing. Look, you get all those grill marks across the burger. This is going to be a masterpiece of foodage. So if you are interested in that power station, I'll stick a link in the description below. And also, they've sent me a massive solar panel. It's the biggest one I've ever had. So I'll show you that in the morning, providing that the sun comes out to play. I just saw a gnat flying in here when I was outside. It looked like a really, really thirsty one as well. I do not hold out much hope for tonight of not getting bitten. I've got no idea how long this burger's going to take, but I guess it's just a case of kicking back, relaxing, and waiting for this meat disc to activate. I'd say it's pretty much done, so I'm going to whack a slice of cheese on there to let it melt down a little bit. And we can prep a milk bun. Okay, I've shifted the air fryer so we can open the lid properly this time. The moment of truth. Look at it. It's like an actual ball of love. Look at it go. What was I thinking? I forgot to put the peri peri on. We seem to be rapidly losing daylight, so before it completely disappears, let's give this a go and then we can set off. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about, well, not worried about, I'm not really scared or anything, but the milk bun, what the hell is it? In fact, hold on, let's try a bit. It tastes like bread. No more messing around. Put it in the face hole. A cluster of the finest ingredients fused together to create the divinity. Is that a word? Basically, it's a derivation. Is that a word? Of the word divine. That is the one. Looks like they've been doing some sort of roadworks down here because all the edges are dug up as well. This is not looking good. I found this one spot where I can park, but you probably can't see them, but right on the other side of the road there are some bollards. So for all I know, in the morning I might get told to move on, but it is a spot. We are next to the beach and hopefully we can stay here for the night. Right, I got the old torch out. So that is the van. This is my, well, this is what attracted me to the spot, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just an absolute delight, isn't it? Look at that, vacuum cleaner there if anyone wants it. Samsung. What did he sing? But anyway, I'm going to leave the pigeon right there. I'm just going to take a walk up the sea wall because if I do get moved on tonight, I want the opportunity to see the sea. Well, there it is. Let's go back to the van. Right, let's make my bed a little bit neater, sort all this madness out, and then we can have a chat. I was just sat here wondering why the sky looks so bright on my CCTV tonight. So I went outside and sure enough, the northern lights are in the sky. I did take a little photo, but to be honest with you, when you compare it to the picture that I took in the Arctic earlier this year, it's not quite the same experience. So anyway, the court case, where do I begin? Well, let's start off by just giving you a little recap. So about 14 months ago, I was driving along, I pulled into a petrol station and then I realised that the old Bill was following me in there. He stopped next to me, it was just one guy, got out of the car and asked to speak to me, to which I just said, yeah, that's fine. And then he started accusing me of driving whilst being on the phone, which I did not do. You can see by all of my old videos that basically my phone used to sit in a little cradle next to the steering wheel above the dashboard. So from outside of the van looking in, it is in the same sort of position where it would be if you were to hold it. So obviously he'd seen the back of the phone and he was mistaken thinking that I was using it when I wasn't. Anyway, after I denied that, he then started accusing me, well, indirectly, of basically stealing the van or not owning the van or not being insured because he couldn't find me on the database. And 10 minutes later, after me trying to find my insurance details to prove everything to him, he finally found me on the database, and it turns out the reason why he couldn't was because he was typing my number plate in wrong the entire time. Now, I do just want to say that besides the accusations, I don't actually think badly of the guy. I think he made a mistake and he was actually quite decent. We did have a chat other than the accusations and he seemed all right. So anyway, I went home, didn't think much else of it. 2 weeks later, I get a letter saying I'm going to get 6 points on my licence and I got to pay a fine of, I think it was 200 or 400 quid, something like that. And I was just like, whatever, ignored it because I did nothing wrong. I then applied to see all of his video footage from the incident because I wanted to show you guys, and I also wanted to use it to say, here we go, I did nothing wrong. But the only footage that he had of that entire evening was the bit where he pulled me over. He did not record the incident where he thought he saw me on the phone. So really he had nothing to go by. But even though there was no evidence, I still got a letter saying I owe them this money, I need to accept the 6 points, and if I don't, they're going to take me to court. So again, I just ignored it. I then made a couple of videos to talk to you guys about it. I played you all of the body cam footage and explained the situation, and since then I have not given you any updates, and that's because I was waiting for my court date. Now, they originally gave me a court date of August, but as it got closer to that date, they adjourned it and they changed it to October. And this time the court case did go ahead, and that was yesterday. Now, looking back on my video when I put it out before, there was a lot of supportive comments saying, you know, hopefully everything's all good. There's obviously no evidence, so I should be all right, which was my point of view as well. However, there were some comments from people saying that basically I'm not going to stand a chance in court because they're going to take the police officer's word over mine. They do it every time. There was one particular comment which stood out to me, and I want to read that to you now. It was basically of this guy who sounded like he was full-on mocking me. So I said in my video that the conclusion of all this is that basically I don't think I've got anything to worry about. Now he's quoted that, and then he has written, "Laugh out loud, oh how naive you are. Your word against the officers with no other witnesses, you'll be found guilty 100%. Further down the comment, he then goes on to say that I'm about to get a reality check of this very soon, and that if I want to stand a chance of avoiding the 6 points and a fine, I need to lawyer up." Well, I now can finally reply to this guy and let him know that he was wrong. Not only did I win the case and I was found not guilty, but I did it without lawyering up. I had no solicitor whatsoever. I walked in there on my own, no legal representation. I presented my case like an absolute genius, and I was found not guilty. Now, I wasn't actually going to make this video at all, because once the case was done, I was just thinking, forget about it. But I just want people to know out there that if somebody accuses you of doing something wrong and it ends up in a situation where you're going to have to go to court, if you know that you have done nothing wrong, then don't just back down and accept the fines or accept points on your license or whatever it may be. If you want to go through with it, don't let people tell you that it's impossible and you are never going to win this case. Now, I'm going to be honest to you, this might sound strange, but I was really excited about going to court. It was like being in the movies and that. I might get one of those judge wig things, you know, what they wear with the curly blondness. It was great. Now, in the officer's statement, he said that he didn't want to attend court, but they called him in via a video chat thing so that he was there digitally. And because I was representing myself, I got to cross-examine him, so I got to put a load of questions to him and quiz him on some of the things which he said in his statement. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the court case in the morning, because right now I need to get an early night's sleep. The reason being, as my celebration for being an innocent man, I've decided I want to break a world record. Now, if you watched last week's video, you will remember that I got up early enough to see the sunrise, and it was amazing. Now, I don't think that anyone in the history of anyone has ever got up to watch the sunrise twice in 1 week. So I, for the love of mankind, am going to be the one to do it.
And we have also got Taco, which is our ginger Maine Coon kitten, and that is our van behind us that we have lived in for the past 2.5 years.
It is freezing cold today. It's wet. Oh, my back. Oh, injury claim. There doesn't appear to be any workers. Actually, what's that down there? Maybe there is. But right now there's no workers here and I haven't been kicked out. There appears to be some four-legged natures over the road, but we don't really have time to admire them right now. The sun is due to come up in 3 minutes. Oh mate, look at that. There's a cloud lit right up from the goodness. Just like clockwork, she has appeared once again. I honestly can't get over how amazing that is. I know it looks good on the camera, but in person, well, I'm talking to you like you've never seen a sunrise before. But it's amazing. It's just so clear. It's like 1,000 million times better than a sunset, aka a billion. It's just made it above the surface, but it's also absolutely freezing out here. So I think I'm going to wait until the sun's come up a little bit more. The earth has warmed itself to the core, and then we'll come out onto the beach. I'm going to set the solar panels up to top up my power station, and I will also let you know the rest of the story about the court date. Okay, I've waited for about an hour. The sun is a little bit higher in the sky. It's still pretty cold to be fair, but according to the weather, it's not going to heat up until about 3 hours time. There's a little car behind me here. I can't actually see if there's anyone in it, but there may be. And in the background there is a digger starting work, so I might get moved on quite soon. So before that happens, let's get a little bit of juice in the system. So this is the panel here. It's a 400 watt panel, and unfolding it is the easiest thing in the world. And setting it up is so easy. You just pull down those stands, and then you take the cables and you plug it straight into the power station. Now, being that the sun is so low in the sky at the moment, it's not going to be optimal. And I don't know how well you can see the screen, but it's currently pulling in 180 watts. So again, if you do want to check out out the All Powers products, I will stick a link down in the description below. It's lucky I didn't walk over here when it was dark last night, because there seems to be a little cliff edge here, and I wouldn't have seen that. I would have stacked it off the edge. But as it happens, it does make an extremely nice seat. So back to this court case situation. Well, I've realised that I don't 100% know the legality of telling you all of the finer details of the case, so I'm pretty sure it's fine, but just in case, I'm going to keep it fairly brief and just give you a summary of what happened. So to start with, I was sat in the waiting room for an hour and a half because the court was late starting, but that's apparently standard practice. But then when I did get called in, there were two people in the room to start with. There's the woman who sort of calls the shots. Lovely lady. She wasn't the person who was judging it, but she just sort of organises the whole scenario. And then there was a guy who was acting on behalf of the prosecution. Again, a really nice guy, and he did say to me that whatever happens in the case is nothing personal, it's just his job that he has to sort of accuse me of doing things. And whilst we waited for the three judges to come in, I believe they're called judges anyway, the guy and the lady were just chatting to me, and they were super surprised that I didn't have any legal representation, and to be honest, they looked really worried for me. They were sort of in a roundabout way trying to talk me out of going through with the case, because they were saying that the likelihood is I'm going to end up owing over £1,000. The reason being that she said it would cost in excess of £600 for the court date. There would be whatever fines the magistrates decides to put on top of that, plus the, I think, 400 quid and 6 points on the licence, so a lot of money. And she was basically saying that if I decided right then to back out of it all, I could pay the £400 and accept the points, but obviously I said no. So from there it went ahead, the three judges came into the room, and then they brought the police officer into the room via a live video feed. Now he basically gave his version of events of what happened, and then after he'd done that, that was when I got to cross-examine him. So there were four main things that I wanted to ask him about. Three of them were relating to opportunities that he would have had to gather evidence where he failed. Now obviously that was a good thing for the case, but at the same time, if he had gathered evidence, I would have been able to use that to say, look, there we go, I was not on my phone. But because he didn't, that was something that I used against him. And then finally, I wanted to bring up the whole situation of how he was not typing my number plate incorrectly for about 10 or 15 minutes. Now, at one point, I was actually stopped from questioning him about this, but I made the point that it shows a lack of focus and it shows a lack of observational skills on the night in question. But I do just want to point this out again. I said this in my first video and I said it in court as well, that I'm not putting him down in general. I'm not saying he is not a competent person, but on the night in question, he did show a lack of observational skills. After this, he then left the video chat and it was my turn to talk through my version of events. So I done that, explained why I wasn't on the phone, told them all about my phone holder, showed them images of that, and then from there I was able to point out various discrepancies from the police officer's written statement and what he had told us on the video screen, because believe me, there were many things that contradicted himself. So after all of this, the judges left the room. I took my seat for about 25 minutes. They came back in, gave a brief summary of the case and declared me not guilty. And after all of that, they even said that if I wanted to, I could claim some compensation. But to be honest with you, I don't want any of that. I'm just glad that it's all done and dusted, and now I can get back on with my adventures. And talking of adventures, in 2 days' time, I will be crossing the English Channel, where myself and my van, aka the Pigeon, are going to embark on an incredible 6,000-mile journey through Europe, down all the way to Greece and Turkey, all the countries along the way, and then different countries on the way back. So I really hope you guys stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. As for me right now, I completely forgot to pick up anything for breakfast when I went shopping yesterday, so I'm going to jump in the van, head off from this spot, go and find a little cafe or something, and then go and pack up the van, ready for my next adventure.